Let's do another minisode. Minisode 211?
Crazy. That's true? Crazy.
It is. No, it is straight. We were 210 last week. So
you know what's crazy about that? You know what my brain does immediately when you say the number 211? I'm like 1 + 1 is 2.
Wow.
Incredible. Oh, I thought you were thinking of the band 311.
Also
311 minus 100.
Yeah, is what I mean. That makes sense. Checks out.
Yeah, I know. I know what you mean by that.
Okay, good. I'm glad someone does.
Little numerology.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes so well. I'm absolutely. My brain is fried after that episode. So,
are you guys like? Oh, like you guys seem kind of confused about what I was going to do today before we started. But are you guys like pretty
confused? Anytime you're in charge.
I feel like I've just created this like air of mystery, like when Gandalf comes to town with fireworks, where everybody's just.
I mean, I'm showing up. Yeah, I'm gonna watch the fireworks.
We're here for it.
Yeah,
but I'm just here to talk about insanely bizarre mysteries.
That's what I hear about you.
Yeah, but here's what's up. So as I said earlier, I said that what the Corner Fest is it's me sort of like emptying my research notes for the year, like all the things that I found that are like not really as deep as a full episode is worth doing. I've sort of done like So Joanna, for example, huge topic. Could have done 4 episodes on it if I wanted, but there's not like enough story to tell it. Like it just kind of is like, and then it just gets more and more complex. And it seems crazy how complex it is. You know what I mean? It doesn't like build to a solution, but most of them, it's just like, I can tell you all the information there is in about 10, 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So that's the topic. But then beyond those, there's even ones that are even less of a thing, that aren't even worth doing at Corner Fest.
Well, it wasn't worth it for him. Mathis left.
Dude, I don't know where he is.
Wasn't worth it for him. He was like, I'm gone. I'm done.
I hope he doesn't have a home invader. I hope we don't watch somebody come here and murder.
That was not as panicked as a home invader would. Yeah.
I'm guessing he hurt his cats.
Get bingo, correct.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. We thought either it was you had a home invader or you heard your cats.
Mm-hmm.
No home invader yet.
Yeah. So basically what I'm saying is this is like if Corner Fest is like Coachella, right? What I'm doing for the minisodes during Corner Fest is like a local gig. Like these mysteries are not even worth mentioning in a real show about mysteries, but there is some flavor to each one that there's a certain je ne sais quoi about it that it bears mentioning, even though it's barely even a mystery and it's just more of an aesthetic than anything. How does that sit with you guys?
Hilariously, because I know that in a year and a half, someone's going to hear this and be like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Oh,
it's going to be hilarious. It's going to be great.
I'm going to tell you guys right now about the giant clamshell mystery. Are you guys ready?
Oh, okay, sure.
Do you guys know about non-murder mysteries? Are you familiar with that subreddit?
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah.
Do those exist?
Non-murder mysteries is like a sub. It's a great subreddit because that's the problem with all the mystery subreddits that happens is like if you're like a Chilluminati listener and you want to get some like weird ass fucking Captain Coochie ass story, right? You go to the mystery subreddits and everything's like my brother Damon like disappeared in Cabo San Lucas 3 years ago and we have no idea what happened to him, you know, and that's like a worthy cause, of course, but like it's creating a organizational issue, right? So non-murder mystery specifically exists to like have all these other weird mysteries on there. And I don't know where I got this one. I watch a lot of YouTube videos and I'm looking at the comments and there's a couple YouTubers that are mentioned in the comments. So I don't know which video it was that made me write this down in my notes like one day while I was fucking smoking a fucking dubious Maximus or whatever I was doing. But like this is the giant clamshell mystery. This is from user M Grego. All there is to it is the post itself. And I'm going to go into the comments a little bit afterwards. Here we go. About 10 years ago, I was a facilitator at a nature center. At one end of our exhibit hall, there was a giant clamshell that measured about 4 feet across. I was guiding a group of kindergartens through the exhibit when a little boy pointed to the clamshell and said, casually, God died in there. It was a weird comment, but I didn't think much of it until another child made the exact same comment about 6 months later. God died in there. Within the 3 years that I held the job, 5 different kids looked at that clamshell and stated, God died in there. Always worded the exact same way. The kids were all 4 to 6 years old. They did not go to the same school or the same church. As far as I can tell, they didn't know one another at all. I think it might be a reference to a book or cartoon, but I can't find the source. Any thoughts? Chilling mystery. The idea of witnessing it alone is upsetting, right? Like, obviously there's no way to like research this really, right? I could dig into it and do like a fun podcast that's like, but what really happened? Where is this? That could be a show, but that's not the show. I don't have that, but there are some suggestions in the comments of what this could be. One's talking about Old Blue Lip from SpongeBob, which is a clam. And they're saying maybe Bob died in there. SpongeBob. I think that one's a bit of a stretch. There's also a religious book series called God Lessons about a chatty clam. I don't really know what this book is about, but I don't like the tone. I don't like what it implies. It's like and that's why you always leave a note. I don't know what's going to happen to the clam, but something's, I can't imagine that 6 different kids bought this ugly ass book.
Chatty? Yeah,
another
it's a weird looking book.
Another user suggests the idea of vintage crucifixion displays being inside of clamshells sometimes. And sure enough, if you look into it, in the 50s and mid-century, there was this sort of habit of putting crucifixes in an open shell. Like, you can describe to the people, I just sent you guys a link of this eBay listing, this thing that's like, I mean, I've seen stuff like this at people's houses for sure, like at old ladies.
Yeah.
It's literally like real,
it's weird.
Real shell
God
or
died
whatever.
in there.
It's like real shell, and it's like a little crucifix of Jesus, like metal thing on like a marble, I would say maybe marble cross, but just like kind of mounted into an open clamshell. Yeah. And so weird. I could see somebody seeing this and saying God died in there. I don't know how common of a thing this is either. Then one other person that I thought was interesting had the guess that it was specifically Roper Mountain Science Center. I don't know anything about the Roper Mountain Science Center. The Roper Mountain Science Center is located in Greenville, South Carolina, which I just thought to mention because it's kind of in the realm of where the Sojoanna area was. And I thought that was kind of cosmically significant. But if you live near the Roper Mountain Science Center and you know about it, I would love for you to take a picture of this giant clam that is supposedly there. I would love to know. I'll tell you exactly. I'll tell you exactly what this person said. He said, "Was this at the Roper Mountain Science Center near the bathrooms? I think I remember being one of the ones who said that, but I don't remember why."
Oh,
weird one.
Kids be kids, man. They're weird. They're weird as fuck sometimes.
Weird one. So that's the giant clamshell mystery in its entirety. Not even long enough for a corner fest.
Yeah. Let me take us at it for a second. It's been a New Year. It's been a holiday. We had a live show. Then it was Christmas. So I didn't do like a lot of like looking at news. But I'll give you a new update. The drones, a new update as of today, actually. They're still going every single day. And today, according to CBS News, the FAA has now expanded drone flight restrictions in New Jersey. Drones are now restricted in 9 more municipalities, in addition to dozens of municipalities already under this restriction. Quote, "It's unclear why the new restrictions were put in place." And they put in place, and there's more classified hearings happening behind closed doors where no answers are coming out, and restrictions are just continuing to grow. There's more municipalities now have flight restrictions, and they won't give in, and nobody knows why. There's no answer.
Is there any sort of consistent, reliable source for the drones?
Like local news is your best bet. Like that's kind of like where I go. I mean, you can see a million people claiming and
Like,
filming,
is there somebody that you're going back to each time that's like, here's the drone report for today?
No, I'm cross-referencing. Just nobody, because you can't trust anything on Reddit, period. Most people who are filming things are literally looking at out of focus planes in the distance and don't know what the hell they're looking at. So I just I'm just looking at like what the government is doing in response to it still going, and looking at the reports of like, what was it, last week? They were in the UK, all across 14 different US air bases last week across the UK. Like, they're still all over the world, and they're still going. I'm just following the reports, and they're still doing classified hearings, and they're still adding restrictions. It definitely
feels real still to me.
It's still going. It's just,
it doesn't feel hokum yet to me, you know? It still feels like a thing that's occurring.
And I remember there was a joke, and then somebody said, it was like in the news during Christmas, well, it looks like the drones took Christmas off. It's like, that they didn't actually. The sightings were everywhere. Christmas still.
Did they even take them off?
So just a little update. That's all I got. You know, a little post holiday update on the drones. They are still happening. If you are in, like, if you're a listener and you're in the New Jersey area, you're in the New England area, they've been seen in Massachusetts or any of the states that's been seen. If you know anybody, I'd love like some firsthand footage of these things that are like from our viewers. I'm so curious because I know we have people who listen out there. I just want to see what, like, I've seen obviously plenty of people on TikTok or Instagram or Reddit, but you can only take that with a grain of salt, like, really. So it's just weird. It's just weird. It
is endlessly fascinating because of how real it feels.
Continues on into the unanswered. Nobody has an answer. So I don't know. Which part of that, the mayor for a town in New Jersey or Pennsylvania, I think, one of the two, did an AMA on the UFO subreddit. Fantastic. About the drones, and basically he said it's one of three things in his mind, which, take it for what you will, he does not get classified hearings on what they are.
This is just him as an official.
He says
using
he thinks
the best.
It's China posturing, it's U.S. tech, and the U.S. is doing a terrible job at keeping people's worries and expectations in check, or it's not human. Those are the three things he put as his answers. I was like, okay, well, take that.
Puts me right at ease, to be honest. Puts me right at ease. The worst thing is that I'm hoping for it to be our own horrific military technology.
None of the answers are good. Like,
that's my only, like, that's the only one that I won't like wake up in a cold sweat thinking about as much, because it's like, oh, well, at least
it's ours.
At least it's ours. At least there's not like some guy that can like,
at least our government spying on us,
come to our country anytime they want. You know what I mean? Like, at least there's not that. But I don't know.
There's still a lot of orb footage out there, and like, whatever you do, like, when you look at an orb, understand most people don't know how to focus their fucking lens, and all you're seeing is a blurry light.
Almost no one has the ability to manually focus the lens that they're using almost ever when they're filming the sky like that. So it's hard.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's hard. Yeah. You need to have like a DSLR or like a mirrorless camera on you with like a telephoto lens.
Yeah,
to
you need
properly
something really, really, really good, like, to get something that's like far.
And you
got
to be pretty close. You got to be pretty close anyway, still, to get anything that's really definitive, right?
And I did throw that UFO video to the subreddit, by the way, and it was fucking awesome to watch them tear into it. We were able to determine it wasn't the ISS. I long story short, for the people who are listening, I got a weird thing on camera, little light in the sky, but it wasn't the ISS. We were able to. I love that we can track that, and it wasn't any known satellite or Starlink satellite, because we have trackers for those. But the thing is like, if it is a satellite, the way it moves is irregular to how a satellite would move, and if it's a drone, it's literally in restricted airspace because of where I live in proximity to an airport. There's something that high would be a danger to
just can't
hitting
be there.
a plane. Like, I take videos of how low planes fly over my house. They're like, house vibrates with it. So it's just weird. But the drone thing in particular is just something to keep an eye on if you're interested in this stuff. It is continuing. You just got to look at the local news of the areas to figure out exactly how they're responding as a government. So I don't know. Jesse, why don't you take us out of here for the new year?
Well,
Father Time himself.
Yeah.
How lovely you said that. Gentlemen,
I'm the oldest man who ever lived.
Scientists have published a paper proving, at least according to them, it's a peer-reviewed study, that paradox-free time travel is in fact possible.
Uh-oh.
I saw this. Yeah.
In a peer-reviewed paper, a scientist says that he mathematically has proven the physical feasibility of a very specific type of time travel. The paper appears in the Classical and Quantum Gravity journal. Essentially, Germain Tobar and Fabio Costa, both the University of Queensland, at the time of the paper's publication, worked together on the study. In the reversible dynamics with closed time-like curves and freedom of choice is the name of the study.
Okay.
It is complex. If you want to, there's links to it. You can just type in reversible dynamics with closed time-like curves and freedom of choice and find the full study and read it all. Even for you, just because I'm that guy, here's their abstract. The theory of general relativity predicts that existence of closed time-like curves, CTCs, which theoretically would allow an observer to travel back in time and interact with their past self. This raises the question of whether this could create a grandfather paradox, in which the observer interacts in such a way that prevents their own time travel. Previous research has proposed a framework for deterministic, reversible, dynamic compatibility, or compatible with non-trivial time travel. Basically, what it all comes down to is they are saying that when you time travel, like Einstein first posited, if you mess with stuff, things will happen, right? But they're saying that as long as just two pieces of an entire scenario of time travel within the CTC, which is the closed time-like curves, are still within casual order, then when you leave, everything should be fine because it takes into account free will and the fact that things just happen. However,
that is so impossible to wrap my mind around.
Yeah, I'm trying real hard.
So
basically, I can basically understand in broad strokes what you mean by that.
Too much?
Here's an analogy that they give. Say you time traveled in an attempt to stop COVID-19's patient zero from being exposed to the virus. However, if you stopped the individual from becoming infected, that would eliminate the motivation for you going back in time to stop the pandemic in the first place. This is a paradox, an inconsistency that often leads to people thinking that time travel cannot occur in our universe. Logically, it's hard to accept because that would affect our freedom to make any arbitrary action. It would mean you can time travel, but you cannot do anything that would cause a paradox to occur, is what they're saying. So basically, it can be grouped with a butterfly effect, which refers to like an unintended consequence, right? And they say in the coronavirus patient zero example, you might try and stop patient zero from becoming infected, but in doing so, you would catch the virus and become patient zero yourself, or someone else would. No matter what you did, the salient events would just happen.
So canon events?
Yeah, try as you might to create a paradox, the events will just adjust themselves to avoid any inconsistency. And that is
the timeline heals itself?
How do you
basically the idea is
begin to calculate
like if you try to kill Hitler, right?
Sure.
Somebody else could rise in his place as a Hitler type, right?
Sure. But they're also saying that if you go back in time, the smart thing to do is if you're time traveling, just go back, look at some shit, and leave. Like, you won't affect things then. But the more you try to mess with things, the more you try to adjust the future, then problems arise. But basically, all they're doing is saying that, like, time, there's a flow to everything, and there's certain things that are like, this is what will happen. And so it relates to quantum findings, as like they're basically saying like it's the way things behave when it comes to multiple dimensions and, you know, using deep math and quantum mechanics, and essentially like no matter what, it's basically there's like the last thing they say here, just an example, is they say, while that sounds frustrating for a person trying to prevent a pandemic or kill Hitler, for mathematics, it helps smooth fundamental speed bumps in the way people think about time. In reality, the math basically says that, like, yeah, you can time travel.
I can't even understand how you calculate it. It seems so fucking crazy to me. But how wild would it be if they were like, and the other thing is that the only place that it can occur is in New Jersey airspace.
Drones, like just AI from the future time traveling.
Or they zoom in on the drones and it's a fucking little TARDIS. Like
the thing that I think is really funny is going back to what you said, Mathis, is the last paragraph in this article literally says, at the very least, this research suggests that anyone eventually designing a way to meaningfully travel through time could do so and experiment without any underlying fear of ruining the world. At least not right away. So yeah, eventually if you keep messing around, you will. But for the most
Unspool
part, things happen because they're supposed to happen.
How do you
shit
what is
occurs.
how many math problems is that? What are we talking about? How do we
Go
prove
7
that?
of them.
If you go look at the great if
How
you
long
go
is this
look at
fucking
the article,
paper?
I'll just give this to you guys so you can take a look. If you go look at this,
But it plays into the idea that all of time is always existing always, so you can't, how can you change something that already has happened and time doesn't exist, right?
So by the time you get to section 2.1, it becomes deep math. Suddenly it's all math.
I'm clicking.
So if you scroll down enough, you'll be like, oh, they go deep.
This is a lot.
And I wish you the best of luck of trying to figure that out.
This is a lot.
Yeah, so so going back in time, you can screw yourself, but for the most part you won't, is what it's saying, which I think is interesting. You can do some things, but for the most part things it's essentially saying that if you went back and you shot yourself in the head, that would cause a problem. But if you went back and you invested $80 billion dollars in Apple, that would not really do much. And it'd be fine. That kind of thing.
And would you be the richest man in the world?
Maybe. But it wouldn't affect the overall nature of what our reality is.
These math problems look insane.
I don't have the ability to understand this, I don't think.
I would love someone who
I would
knows
love
the
a
math to really
physicist.
dive deep into this.
Yeah, I would love to take a physicist out for a coffee.
It's interesting because the images that they use with the math problems, the looks like expanding circles or orbs or waves or whatever, is the same kind of images that are in the Monroe Institute kind of images, idea of consciousness study and whatnot, which is kind of interesting. I wish I knew any of this math. WIX1 plus I plus 1 WN times X divided by N. Okay. Yeah, cool. No understand different. Cool. I wish I understood a fucking lick of what that said because it seems so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, time is not
Real.
this or that or 1 or 0. It's all sorts of different crazy things. And yeah, you can go back, according to them, you could go back. Again, the one thing that doesn't say is that time travel is possible. It's saying that if you did
could
time
figure
travel,
out a way to
it
time
wouldn't mess
travel,
with things.
If there was a way to time travel, you could invest $80 billion.
Yeah, unless you really truly screwed up the timeline in some epic way, most of the time it would self-correct. And so, and that's cute, but it also doesn't prove that time travels backwards at least is possible.
Right. It's still interesting.
Yeah.
Well, on that, everybody, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. We got a fun one for you. Alex has got another couple episodes coming down the pipeline that are going to be just as clear and concise as they always have been.
This has been the most straightforward thing. I was like, hey, I'm going to do 25 mysteries. There's going to be 6 in each episode, and they're all going to be about different stuff.
That's great. I'm not complaining about it, I promise. Yeah. Thank you all so much for supporting us here at patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod. We appreciate you. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye.